All right, here we are. Listening to Epidemic Sound Instrumental, as usual. Keep the music in the background so you have a shot at hearing what I'm talking about. Maybe you don't want to hear it. Anyway, so this is Thursday. It's 11:43. Started off with 45 seconds of uninterrupted Epidemic Sound Instrumental without copyright. How about that? It's a 3-hour track, and it's legal for me to include it in my little broadcast thingy here. There we go. All the mics seem to be working pretty good. Try not to overmodulate this situation. There we go. Let's go. How about that? Yeah, that's good. So anyway, today, this is Thursday, so tomorrow at noon, well, at 11:59 a.m. tomorrow would be our 2-week anniversary with Mr. Tesla. And yeah, it's an interesting experience, because I mean, they've made this car. It is by far the most exciting car I've ever driven, period. And as you may have heard me before, we've had all the best cars on the planet, you know, not Bentleys and not Rolls Royces. I've driven them, you know. No, I'm talking about $135,000 Mercedes-Benz 20 years ago, when $135,000 was, you know, a huge amount of money for the Mercedes-Benz. The 560 SEC two-door coupe, it was the most expensive Mercedes, you know, in production. It was gray. I had it 8 years, and you know, the headliner was coming. You know, by the time we got rid of it, it was a wreck, and we took care of the cars. But the headliner came down. You know, it's like up there with some kind of foam thing, and it disintegrated, I guess, in the heat, and it came down, and it was just a mess. I mean, he had to get rid of the car, like, right away. And it's like terrible to have this stuff fluffing around. You couldn't figure out how to put it up, and I wasn't going to use duct tape. Anyway, but that was a nice car, you know, for about 5 years, and then it started to disintegrate, literally. And we had the, let's see, I think it was a 560. That was the size of the engine. I think 5.6 liters is what that meant. But 560 SL, which is the two-door sports car. Marilyn had that, I think, in gold. Oh my God. And we had the hard roof, you know, you lift it up, and I had this rig in the ceiling of the garage, which held the roof. So you had like 4 snaps, and you just pull it up. You pull it up, and the roof goes up, you know, into the ceiling of the garage, which was like a 10 or 12 foot ceiling. And then Marilyn would like ride off, and behind her, in a neat little panel, was a convertible, which I think you pushed a button, and you know, the thing opened, and the roof, you know, attached itself, the soft top, you know, in case it was raining or something. Anyway, so, you know, we had all the nice toys. The RX 450H which I believe was a Lexus, was my favorite car until this one. I really like that that hybrid that they came out with. Anyway, so now, Tesla, that was, quite a while ago when I had that car, probably 20 years ago, 15 years ago. So now the Tesla, which has been delivering cars, it's been in business for 12 years, 13 years, 12 and a half years, but it's actually been delivering cars for 9 years. Starting with the Roadster, they built like 250 of those, at $250,000 a piece. So, people were lined up, for that. And they were all kinds of trouble. They kept on replacing this and that. It was the first car they ever made, and they had all kinds of issues with the motors and, whatever. I can't even tell you what the problems were, but I know, the initial 50 cars that were made needed a lot of service. So it was kind of like, learn as you go. Brand new car company. And Elon was, an exciting entrepreneurial guy, so he was pushing the envelope on, what could be manufactured. So he'd make promises that he couldn't keep. He tried. And most everything that he said he was going to do, he's done. And then 9 years ago, he came out with the Model S, like Sam, and that came out 9 years ago. And those cars that are riding around today are unmatched by any car that's on the road today. They're like, they've had a 9-year free reign. No one has really competed with these guys, and they have a huge head start. Now they're producing 10,000 cars a week. They're sold out, like the Model Y and the Model 3. They're sold out, through the end of August. June, July, August, that 90-day period, they're all sold out. So when you buy one, you're like 2 or 3 months in the waiting list, which is, it's not terrible, but, when you buy a car, you'd like to get it right away. But, no. That one was, they're selling them so fast, and it's all online. Now, they do have some dealerships, not dealerships, they do have some display places, showrooms, I guess it would be, like we have one in our mall. So if you want to, let me turn that music down a little bit. I love it, but, I'm competing with it, so just turn it down a little more. So anyway, you can go into our Boca Mall, whatever it's called today, and they have, a 1,250-foot bay right across the hall from Apple, which has like a 3,000-foot store. These are all guesses, but they're pretty good guesses. And, Apple used to be in that store, and then they went on the other side of the corridor, and Tesla took the Apple space. So Apple was operating out of like 1,500 square foot, and they went across the hallway, and it could be 4,000 or 5,000 square feet. It's more than double, I think, a little more than double, like 2.5 times the size. Some other store, left. So Apple gutted it, and their stores are pretty simple. They got all these tables, and they have a one partitioning wall to protect the customers from all their inventory and some of the people that are in the back room trying to get things fixed or whatever. Anyway, so Tesla took Apple's space, and they showroom, they have a couple of guys that float around there trying to take your order. And I don't know what their success rate is on people taking the order. Then you can also sign up, and one of them will ride out with you for a test drive, which I did. I rode the Model X for about an hour with Mark Perlstein, who came down from Montreal. He's my Isogenics, lead guy up in Montreal. He's a big producer. And anyway, so we drove it a couple of years ago, and in April 26th. April 26th. I'm gonna write this down. So 4/26, we ordered it at 1 a.m. I did it. And I just had a little bone up my butt, and I said, let me see if I can get one of these suckers. So I filled out the application and all that for, a lease. We did a 3-year lease. I'm not I like to turn them in and get another one, particularly with electric car, iPhones, computers. You want to, of course, you can't lease those, but with the iPhone, you can turn them in. We have a Apple plan. No, it's a AT&T plan where I pay an extra $500 on the payment, and I can turn my phone in whenever they come out with a new one, which is annually. So in September, they'll basically cancel the contract on the one I got last year and start up another one this year. And all I got to do is send them back the phone. Anyway, so I ordered the Tesla on 4/26 and got it on 6/11 at 12 p.m. So 4/26, 5/26, that's a month, and 14 days. So it's 6 weeks. That was my waiting time. Now it's like 12 weeks, 10 to 12 weeks. It kind of depends on what you get. Some people get disgruntled and they give up their, they cancel the order. Maybe they decided, you know what, I don't want to get white, maybe I'll get black. So they cancel the order and then they order another one. It puts them in the back of the heap. But, we got black on black in black, so everything's black. Yeah, that's what Marilyn's car was like before, so I figured, we're gonna do this electric thing, so let's let Marilyn have what she's used to driving, because she had an all black on black and black Honda Accord. So I figured, well, we'll make this one the same. Let's not make it look like a space capsule. Electric car is enough of a transition. So I figured I'd give her a break and just get all black. And it's it's actually more attractive. The white cars, they're practical because down here, cars can get hot in the sun, and black will get hotter than white. The roof situation with the all glass roof, that actually works out pretty good. It has special properties in the glass. I don't think it's a coating. And it filters out the infrared, which is the heat part. And it filters out the ultraviolet so you don't get burnt, like sunburnt. Because that sun's coming right through the entire roof, from the trunk of the car up to the windshield. It's all glass. Ooh. And they took special care to make sure you wouldn't be in there, roasting like a fried egg in there. And it's you know, we've had some 90-degree temperatures and sun beating down, and you know, it's okay. You know, no drastic. You know, you put your hand up there over your head. You don't really feel any. You know, he did a good job on that glass, so you don't have to go to the tint shop and put, you know, any internal tinting on that window. I've heard of some people doing it, but you really don't need to do it. The back windows, it's a four-door sedan, you know, the Model Y, with a hatchback kind of thing. It's kind of like a SUV crossover, I think the American terms are. So it's almost an SUV, and it's almost a four-door sedan. And it has a 326-mile fuel tank, which happens to be an electric battery. That's a 500-volt battery, and you got 6,000 cells all lined up, and in, I think, 12 packages of cells, so they can come up with 450 volts. Each cell is, you know, like 7.3 volts, as opposed to a regular battery that's like 1.5 volts. These cells are like 3.4 or 7.1 volts, depending on the size of the cell, I think. I think they're 7-volt cells. Anyway, so you add that all up and divide by whatever, and you end up with 450 volts. So when you go to a supercharger, you've probably heard of that. So when a Tesla backs up into a supercharger and plug it in, that's 450 volts of DC. You plug it in, it doesn't have to go through the charger. There are 2 chargers in each Tesla. It senses, you know, do you have 200? Do you have 110 volts, which is, you know, like plugging it into a regular wall socket, which you get 6 miles of range per hour. So if you leave it plugged in that way all night, you get 50 miles of range. So if you only drove 30 miles that day, you know, you can top off your battery every night. It'll take all night to do that. I happen to be fortunate to have a dryer plug. It's a 14-50 NEMA plug, and let's see if I can show it to you on my fancy schmancy thing here, iPad. We'll go right there. We'll hit, there we go, see? All right, so see, here's my battery. As of 6:53 a.m. yesterday, see, I had 270 miles of range. It's charged at 83%. Anyway, I wanted to show you. Oh yeah. So that is a NEMA, N-E-M-A, 1450 socket. So you got one of those in a wall, and you get the 1450 adapter for your charging situation. The Tesla charger, you can plug in the 115 volt deal, or you can pay $43 and get the NEMA plug that looks like that, and it goes right in the. So you know, we have a. Let's see if I have a picture of that. There it is. You see that right there? It's mounted on the inside of a column. I'm like looking at it from inside the parking spot. Parking spot 265. So I park in a place that's just to the right of this doodad. It's on a column. The guy on the left side actually has, that's his assigned parking place. On the right side, it's what is known as an 8 to 5 parking place, which means that it's reserved for someone in the commercial offices, and they have the exclusive use of that spot until 5 p.m. Then they don't have exclusive use of that spot. So, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that, I'm hoping that guy, I don't know who it is. I know what his car looks like. But when he pulls out, and goes home or wherever he goes, I can pull in there, plug into that 1450 plug, and plug that into my car, and that's what our car looks like. See, prepare for delivery. I mean, these guys are unbelievable, these Tesla guys. Here's my proof of insurance. Of course, you have to have the 100,000, 300, for each accident and all that stuff. All leasing entities require that. So, they want you to make sure you get the right insurance, which I gave them proof of insurance. Send it to them a couple of days in advance. And, so the closing, took 5 minutes. I mean, we walked around the car, everything looked good, looked at seams. You read all these reports, things aren't lining up and all that. And I know some people that had some problem with, doors and seams were not lined up. And we got lucky. Everything was, I haven't discovered any defects at all. Here's what the car looks like when you take the skin off. Let's see. There we go. You can see. Here, there's me in the corner, and you can see a bigger image of the. Yeah. So it's got a big horizontal screen. There's my insurance thingy. 6.7. I had to change that to 6.11 because when I got this commitment from the insurance company, I didn't know when the delivery date was yet. They didn't assign. Well, I did. I have a. Yeah, I got the VIN number, but I didn't know when it was going to get delivered. So it got delivered. 5 days later. So there's the cards. That's what I had my tag. I saved this tag and had this tag put on the new car. So that now says 8/22, which is Marilyn's birthday, because Marilyn was the lessee on the Honda. And there's our cat keeping an eye on me. Black cat, I tell you. Every time you get a box, a cat goes in the box. I mean, it's like magnetism. Anyway, so we're now 2 weeks with the car, and I mean, Marilyn came up with this. It's like driving a golf cart. If you've ever driven a golf cart, you push down on the pedal and it goes faster. You lift up a little bit and the cart goes at the constant speed that you selected by the position of where your foot is on there. And then if you lift your foot up, it begins to stop. And if you lift it up all the way, it'll stop all the way. And then you got like a parking brake over next to it, but you really don't use that as a brake. Everything is 1 foot driving. And that's what this is. It's a big, luxurious golf cart. You learn how to. So the trick is, instead of learning how much pressure to put on the brake pad, which you never use, okay, unless there's like an emergency thingy and you got to stop really fast. But they have regenerative braking, which means when you let up on the accelerator pedal, you can't say gas pedal because there's no gas. So it's called an accelerator pedal. So when you push down the accelerator pedal, this thing rockets to whatever speed you want. If you push down real fast the car, will slam all your passengers into the back of the seat with a 3G force, like it's a blast off. I mean, it's really dramatic. I mean, you've never experienced anything like this, and I have friends of mine that have had really fast gasoline cars, and nothing is like this. When I'm up first in the traffic light and it turns green, I all the cars are in my rearview mirror, like I'm 500 feet ahead of everybody. I have to learn how to grow up, but if you've never had no one has ever had a car that has this kind of acceleration. So, you can have fun doing that. I've had a couple of wise guys try to drag race me from like 0 to 40. They're still trying to find second gear. I'm gone, because this thing, just goes. It doesn't have gears. It has one gear. It takes the engine from 5,000 RPM to 500 RPM. So it's a 10-to-1 reduction. And that's it. And that motor, idles at like 5,000 RPM. And when I haven't figured out, I haven't heard anyone talk about what kind of dynamic clutching there is. In other words, so if the motor's going 5,000 RPM and you have your foot up on the accelerator pedal, so you see on the screen, hold. You see an H with a circle around it with two things like this, like it's brakes. And it may very well be the brakes, grab the wheels when you're stopped. So, you have three selections: hold, creep. I don't want creep, because then you're always going to the brake pedal. So I want 1 foot driving, and when it comes to rest, I want it to hold still. I don't want going anywhere. And when you depress the accelerator pedal, then you go forward or backwards, depending on which way you want to go. So that's, these were all menu settings. You take 20, 30 minutes and go through all the menu settings. I mean, I did it 3 times. I did it again today. Went through every single menu setting, and there's probably 100 different choices when you go down the list of things that they talk about. Driving, lighting, locking, and they have 10 or 15 items, on how to lock the car, how to unlock the car. They have a checkbox, which is called, this is pretty cool, walk-away mode. So you set up your phone, and you connect your phone to the car with Bluetooth. Now, this is not like listening to music on Bluetooth. This is creating a key. So your car is associated with your phone, and the phone is now your key. So there's no other electronic device you need. It works on the Bluetooth signal, so that even if you're in an area with no Wi-Fi, the Bluetooth works. And so the walkaway mode is, you're done, you get out of the car, which is kind of goofy because there's no off button. you just get up and get out, and you walk away. And by the time you get to like 20 steps away, you hear beep. You hear a real brief tap of the horn, which lets you know that the sucker is locked, and it's amazing. So that's called walkaway mode. It doesn't have to be that way. There's a button on the app. There is an app. There's the app right here. Oh yeah, we'll be. Yeah, so you see phone key right there. So set up your phone as a key. I've already done that. Join the location. But you see this. Oops. I don't know what that's going to do, so I'm going to turn it off because that's actually locked into the car. Let's not unlock the car. Yeah. See, now the car's unlocked. Oh, now it's locked. You see? So it is just connected to the car. And you can see that it's parked, says parked. And you've got 186 miles of range in your fuel tank. You have to call it fuel tank, can't call it gas tank. Yeah, see, and it has like a picture of a battery, you know. And you see this button right over here is like a lock. So the car is locked. Now from here, I can unlock the car. Now it's down in the garage. Yeah, it works through the Wi-Fi, and you know, from here I can press that button and unlock the car, even though I'm here. I don't know why I'd want to do that. Maybe Marilyn wants to forgot whatever, and she wants to get something out of the car, and I can unlock it for her. Yeah. There's another one in the middle. This middle button here is the middle button up on here. It looks like a trunk, and you can push that and open the trunk from wherever you are. It's the front trunk. Since it doesn't have an engine in the front, they've scooped that out and made it real nice. And it's got a rather sizable storage area for putting stuff in the front trunk, which the Tesla people like to call it the frunk. Anyway, I'm going to continue to call it the front trunk. It's the only enclosed area, since you have a hatchback. You know, if you can get into the 4 seats, you can get into the back. You know, so the only place where you can't get into, like if you had a valet mode, if you give the guy the key to your, here, I'll show you the Tesla key. So when you buy the car, when you get the car, they give you 2 of these. I'll hold this up to the camera. You see that right there? It says Tesla. It's thin as a credit card. If you look carefully on that, you see, it's showing you a depiction of, you just tap the card on the column between the front window and the back window. That's a camera. That's the side camera on there, which you can see. So you just take the card and you just hold it against that spot in that general area, and it unlocks the car. You can see this other signal, see there? Lock, unlock. So we have it on walk-away mode. So when I get out of the car, I don't have to do this to lock it. All I gotta do is walk away with my phone in my pocket, and it will lock. So they want you to keep this in your wallet, just in case, like today, my phone, I left it in the car. So I gotta unlock the car with this thing, because the phone's in the car. So I obviously can't, you know, because it's not only walk-away mode, it's walk-up mode. So when you walk up to the car, it automatically opens, and all you gotta do is pull the handle and you're in. So you got these credit card looking things, which are your personal key, but it's not like a key that you'd, you know, it's not a lock on a key that you turn with your hands, you know, a metal thingy. You know, people can pick the lock. I don't know what the encryption is or how you could possibly get in the car and hack it. I haven't read about anybody being able to hack a Tesla. That would be a real problem. You know, since there are a bunch of these cars on the road, like a million of them. There's a lot of cars for, you know, a brand new company that's only been in business for 9 years. You know, Ford's been in business for 109 years. So, you know, and Toyota and everything. I mean, Toyota had the jump, right, with their Prius. The only problem with the Prius is it's ugly. You know, I mean, you mean to tell me you can't make that look like a car? It has to look like a, you know, a Campbell soup can with wheels. I mean, you know, it's just, and it's still ugly. Jeez. I mean, you got to be, you know, a real electric, regenerative, you know, guru to be able to tolerate something that looks, you know, so ugly. You know, to me, it's just terrible design. The Tesla, in my opinion, that is a very attractive car. And the drag coefficient is like 0.26 or 0.28. I had a Corvette. Drag coefficient was like 0.36. You know, the higher the number, the worse. You know, you want that. Now the new Tesla Model S, they tweaked the design a little bit. Drag coefficient is 0.2. There's no production car on the planet that has a 0.2 drag coefficient. This is the Model S that goes 0 to 60 in 2 seconds. There's no production car that can go that fast either. I mean, can you imagine? In 2 seconds, you're at 60 miles an hour? I mean, that's like, I can't even imagine that. It's got 1,000 horsepower in 3 engines. But, you know, that's what a $140,000 car, a Tesla car, will do. Remember, I had a $135,000 Mercedes. Anyway, this car is like marvelous, this Model Y. We didn't get the high performance version, which would cost $9,000 more, because I didn't like the wheels, you know. I wanted more rubber. You know, I don't want these little skinny tires, you know, for, you know, that are 100 and 200 mile rated tires, you know. No, you hit a bump with those and they go flat, because there's no pneumatic air pressure. You know, you want the car to float on a certain amount, enough rubber. I mean, if you're so, you know, high-tech roady kind of guy, you don't care how bouncy it is. And if you have those 8, 19, 20-inch rims, that means the circumference can't be any bigger than this. And it's a pretty big wheel. It's a big tire, actually. But when you go to 20-inch rims, then you're only going to have 2.5 inches worth of rubber, because the thing can't be more than 24 inches, you know, in diameter. So if you have more hub, then you have less rubber. I wish I could have gotten 17-inch rims, you know, where you could have, you know, 5 inches of rubber, you know, that's pneumatic, you know, pressured up to, I noticed in my car that you can actually see on the display the air pressure on your tires, and they run them at the 45 pounds per square inch. So, you know, the Honda cars and General Motor cars and all that, you know, they pump them up to 32 pounds. Tesla, 45, which I just learned that. There's a mode where you can actually see the tire pressure. So you can see on here, we've driven a grand total of 310 miles in 2 weeks. I'll take Marilyn back and forth to work tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday, right? Yeah. So that'll be another, so say 330 miles for 2 weeks. Can you imagine? Crazy. Where's my trusty calculator? So, 330, divide that by 14. We average 23.5 miles a day, times 360 equals 8,000 miles a year, times 3 years, 25,000 miles. So we got a 30,000 mile lease. So so we can go backwards on that. 30,000 mile lease. Divide that by 3. That's 10,000 miles a year. And divide that by 360. 28 miles a day. That's it. Times 30.5 days in a month. So it's about 850 miles a month. And then every mile over that, you pay 25 cents a mile. Yeah, so if you go over 1,000 miles, you know, that can get 25 cents. So that's 0.25. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. So yeah, that's per mile, 10 miles, 100 miles, 1,000 miles. So if you drive an extra 1,000 miles, it's going to cost you $250 per 1,000 miles. Which, you know, so if you go over 4,000 miles, it's $1,000. Which, you know, it's not the end of the world. So I wouldn't be necessarily worrying about it. I mean, really, am I not going to be driving the car because I'm coming here to the end of my lease term and I got 29,000 miles on my, you know, on the odometer. Yeah, just drive the car. That's beautiful. So, you know, maybe. Now, I like the idea of leasing. You know, particularly with these high technology products. You know, particularly a car, and Tesla is so innovative, and they keep changing things, and they keep. I mean, they can download all kinds of adjustments to everything on the display, everything the way the car runs. They have total control of just downloading, upgrading the software. And then you have, you know, it comes right into the car. So probably tomorrow night, tonight or tomorrow night, I'll plug in, because I'll pick up Maryland, and that, you know, and that'll bring me, you know, down to about 50% battery. So when I get to 50%, I plug it in. And if I can't get in the parking place, I'll plug it in tomorrow. You know, Friday night or sometime over the weekend. Because if I plug it in at, you know, like 5:30, it'll be 100%. I don't charge it. I charge it to 95%, which Tesla doesn't like. They don't want me to charge it past 90%. But, you know, it's a 326-mile tank, which is, you know, our Hondas were 500-mile tanks. You know, gas stations, we got gas stations on every corner. You don't have, range anxiety is alive and well with these cars. Because you're used to having, let's say, 400-mile gas tanks. You know, when you buy a nice big Lincoln or whatever, you don't get it with an 11-gallon gas tank, you know, or a 12-gallon. I mean, I figured out when these guys were talking about how, you know, don't worry about the battery and the range and this and that. You know, when you buy a nice Cadillac or a nice Lincoln or, you know, Range Rover or whatever, you know, you don't buy it with a 12-gallon gas tank. It's got a 22-gallon gas tank. And, you know, and you multiply that by, you know, 20 miles a gallon, you know, that gets you right up to 450, 500 miles, you know, and then you're floating into the gas station, you know, on vapors. Now with electric, same thing. You don't want to be pulling in the driveway with 2 miles in the whatchamacallit. Now I've read articles that say that when it says 0, you actually got 15 miles of battery left. When that goes down to like 0, which I hope I never see, you actually have 15 miles, because some people have ridden it right to the end where it just, you know, it stops and everything goes dark, you know. And it was a test, and they did it on purpose, and, you know, they had something with them that could, some generators that could charge up the car, enough so it could get to the, an electric fueling spot. But, there's, Elon keeps on saying there are 25,000, superchargers, in the world. Well, I don't care about the world. What I care about is like United States. I care about Florida mostly because, I don't care that there's 1,000 superchargers in California because I'm not in California. I'm in Florida. So how many you got here? Well, I haven't read anything that tells me how many of these they have here, but they show them to you on a map. So if we were going to drive to Jacksonville, and you put and you push a button on the steering wheel and say, "Take me to, 123 Elm Street, Jacksonville, Florida." Now it'll map you right to that address, and it will show you along the way, whether it's on the Turnpike on 95. You would take 95 on this route because that stays east to go to Jacksonville, and it'll show you every fueling spot, every supercharger along the way, so that you don't have to worry about, and they're at least every 50 miles, so you can see when you start, when you're going to go off on a trip like that, you're going to start with a full battery. And occasionally, see that dotted line? There's a dotted line across there. That's the 95% point in that dotted line is the 95% full line. You can pull that down a little bit further. They actually don't want you to charge it past 90%. But I go to 95. Not 97, not 98, not 100. Now, if I'm going to go to Fort Myers or whatever and visit Marilyn's sister and Bob, I'll fill it up 100%. They are about 150 miles away. So in theory, I could drive over there and go and come back, without getting any fill-ups anywhere. Now, I asked Bob. I said, "Hey, what kind of a plug do you have for your dryer?" So he sends me. I said, "Send me a picture of what it looks like." And I'm trying to find it here for you. There it is. So he's got two sockets. This is not exactly, the one on the left is not exactly a 1450 because the bottom element has a little L-shaped doodad, and my plug wouldn't go in there. And then this one, we got the two terminals at an angle and the L-shaped terminal. That's a 30 amp plug. So there is a workaround for that. And in the Tesla tool bag, see here, there we go, right here. You see, here's the plug that would go in that socket, and on this end, which you can't see here, is the 1450. So this end here looks like that. So you got that on one end, and you got this on the other end. So that would allow me. I said, "So Bob, it could be that I could ask you, can I plug into your dryer thing, and replace that 150 miles with the electricity that it took me to get over here?" So, I got this adapter. He said he's got an adapter, and so depending on where that dryer outlet, Marilyn says it's like in the house a bit. So I said, "Well, how much in the house can it be?" I mean, this is in my trunk. You see that all that over? That's 30 feet. So I got a 30-foot extension cord, and then it attaches. There it is. And that attaches to 20 feet of cord. That's the Tesla cord. So in theory, I got 50 feet, which is, that's a lot of, so we're going to play and see if I can charge up in this dryer outlet. There's plenty of charging places in Fort Myers, but this is just fun stuff. So at midnight, when everyone's like sleepy time, Bob and I will wire up the car and see if I can top off the tank with this dryer vent. It costs $4.20 worth of electricity. I'll give them $5. Call it a day. They'll round up to the nearest dollar. But I mean, I did the cost of electricity in Florida right now, FPNL, everything south of Orlando, is 10.8 cents a kilowatt. So if you divide that back into, how many, let's see, this happened to have the EPA. There we go. So according to the EPA, they're saying the cost is $550 a year if you drive the car 15,000 miles a year, and the kilowatt hour charge is 13 cents a kilowatt. Hold that up to the camera a little bit. For a bit. You can see it. Hold me. There we go. So right down here in this black and white part, you can look up the car on fueleconomy.gov, as you can see. And I'm a little bit too shaky to hold that still. Anyway, so you can, but that's 13 cents a kilowatt. In Florida, it's not 13. California may be, and upstate. But in Florida, it's 10.8 cents a kilowatt. The FPNL is more efficient on the way in which they produce electricity. And they're regulated on how much profit they can have. They can have enough profit. It's kind of like a big nonprofit. It's a utility. You can buy the stock, trades. They're allowed to have profit. I didn't say that right. But their pricing has to go through the Public Service Commission of Florida. So they limit how much profit you can make. So FPNL can't just come over and say, next year I want 15 cents a kilowatt when it's 10.8. They'll bump it up, so that Florida Power and Light can, let's say they had a really bad hurricane season last year and they need to buy all this equipment because, all the lines went down and transformers blew up and all this stuff. So all that's, macroeconomics, times 10. It's very difficult. And then you have this, body of people, the Public Service Commission, and they're a bunch of accountants and lawyers and, bankers. I could have maybe tried to get on that panel at one point, but it's a lot of aggravation, a lot of political pressure, because you have to vote, and you have to raise your hand. And you have some people, throwing pies at you if they don't like the way you voted. We have a crazy society here today. Anyway, so 150 miles driving over to Fort Myers will cost $4.15. No, $4.65. I think I just sent Bob I don't know where I came up with the number. I sent him a while ago, but I re-looked at it. Oh, here it is. There, Bob. Yeah, $4.65. That's what it would cost to drive to Fort Myers, one way, not counting tires, rubber. These tires are really I mean, they look really heavy duty, and they're designed to go 135 miles an hour, which I will never do. Yeah, but the car has the top speed of 135, and 0 to 60 4.8 seconds. For a mere $2,000, they can turn on a switch, an electronic switch, a download. I call it an electronic switch, and they can turn on the maximum current that, increase the maximum current that can go to the motors. So you can go 0 to 60 in 4.2 seconds. So you can knock off 0.6 of a second if you are really inclined to want to have more acceleration. If I own the car, but to lease the car, to pay $2,000, really? In 36 months, you divide $2,000 by 36, it's like, 55 hours a month, so you can go a half a second faster? No, Elon, no. That's not priced right. Number one. And number two, it should be, you should have a monthly thing where, would I pay an extra $20 a month to have the car go a little bit faster? I might do that. But $2,000 one-time charge? No. I mean, there's too many people that have leased cars. They're just not going to spend it. It's not going to happen. People that own the car, you might do that. You own the car, the battery's got a 10-year guarantee and all that kind of stuff. And the motors, million-mile motors, million-mile battery. But if you're into a lease where you're only putting 30,000 miles on the vehicle out of a potential million miles, I'm not going to pay that premium and then turn the car in year 3 at the end, the beginning of year 4. No, I mean, they just, they're off their rocker. I'd like to sit down with Elon and just explain it to him. I bet none of the people around him want to, get too close or he'll chew their head off. You can't chew my head off, but I guess he could walk away, but I'd make him think about it. And the other thing is, $10,000 for full service driving? Really? I'm going to pay $10,000 one time, which brings a $54,000 car to $64,000, which is not the end of it, but $10K so you can have some more, driving automation. That doesn't even work yet. It's still in beta. He said, every month it's next month. And he's been doing that for a year and a half. I mean, he was joking on one of his long interviews and says, I'm really good at everything, but not timing. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, he does not know how to predict, which is not right. He should be able to have his engineers say, hey, look, we'll have this out in September. Forget about telling him it's next month. It ain't going to be next month. The people that are actually doing the work should tell him how long it's going to take to get it done, even with him kicking their ass, because he is an ass kicker. He's a tough taskmaster. As old, Steve Jobs was probably the worst, and Elon Musk is probably second worst. To the point where he sleeps, in the conference room floor in the factories, last year to get the production of the Model 3 up to 5,000 cars a week. He was like, and I'm sure all those employees were glad when he, got the hell out of the factory, because I'm sure he creates more chaos than whatever. But, now it's amazing that you can put out 10,000 cars a week. That's a lot of, forget the cars, that's a lot of tires. Can you imagine the supply chain to feed this machine that makes the machine? That's how he looks at the factories. It's a big machine that makes machines. So the machine's being cars. Well, you got this big machine that makes the machine. And, and it's 90, the last I heard, it was 90%, 94% automated. and 6% human intervention. So most of the human, resources that they have in the plant is to keep the robots working, to service them, lubricate them, whatever the materials are in there for welding. There's all kinds of things going on when they're building a car. And you have different adhesive glues, spot welding, I forget what they call it when you have a weld that it actually applies liquid metal with a very high current electrical welding. But if you've seen, they have a half in the mall, in the mall showroom. They have a car that's half built. It's got the wheels, it's got the motor, but none of the top stuff. No top shell. It's just you can actually see the way the battery pack interfaces with the batteries, and the wiring, and the where the pump is, the pump for the automated steering and all that. So you can actually look and see how those welds are done. And it's, the attention to detail inside that car is just beautiful. And that's what I said about a Mercedes. When you open up the hood of a Mercedes and look the way that engine is put together, and the grommets and the things that they use when they route the wires through, and all that stuff. And then you open up the hood of a Cadillac, and it's like spaghetti. It's like they just threw the crap in the engine, and no attention to detail. Now that may have changed. I'm, looking back 10 or 20 years ago. But the Tesla car is a masterpiece of automation, and the driving experience is like nothing else you've ever driven in a car. I mean, it's unbelievable. And so now I'm on week 2. I showed you the mileage. We're 311 miles is how it's. So we're driving 26 miles a day. We can drive 28 miles a day. And to get up to but some days you don't drive anything, very little. So how many miles does it take to get to the grocery store? 1 mile each way, half a mile each way. So now there's going to be a weekend in July. We're going to go over to Fort Myers, so that's going to be a 300-mile trip. And it's we go up one day, stay overnight, and come back the next day. So that's sometime in July. Anyway, so we'll probably take some road trips. Judy's coming down, Marilyn's sister, on July 1st. I'm picking her up at the airport. So that'll be for her first ride in a Tesla. It's really an amazing car. I mean, it's just a car. It takes you from here to there. It makes no sound. It makes no noise. So when you get in the car, it's totally silent. You turn the radio on, you can hear the radio, but there's no there's no motor sounds. You can't hear any brakes. You can't. There's the motor is all electric. It's all like silent. You say, what's the matter with my ears? Do I need hearing aids all of a sudden? There's no sound anymore. So you turn on so I have my phone turned on to Fox News, and it automatically goes up into the sound system. And by the way, the sound system is like, oh my God, it's like you're in a sound studio. If you're sitting around waiting for the car to fill up, on a road trip, you can turn on Netflix, watch a movie, and the sound is like, whoa, you've never heard sound like this in a car. It's got like 22 speakers and woofers and, 900 watts, sound system in a car. An American car or, a Mercedes car, German car, you got to pay up. All right, so you get a good sound system that's, that's $3,000. Oh, you want the 900 watt thing? What's another $5,000? Tesla, you don't even have a choice. They just put the best there is in there, and that's it. That's what comes with the $54,000 car. You get the best tires that are made, and you get the best stereo that's ever been made for a car. It's all Tesla engineered stuff. They have a whole audio test engineering. They got a whole division that deals with audio, which I learned the other day. You would, I guess, assume that. I just didn't think about it. But they have, they've got a whole bunch of sound engineers, and they, buy the best little tweeters and woofers and, all the stuff. It's just built into the car. And you don't have a choice not to have it. So you get, the car is $54,000, $500. Take it or leave it. Or you can have the performance thing, which is $9,000 more. And that's it. You can pick white interior or a black interior. All right, so that's the two interiors. That's it. And the exterior colors, you got 4. Black, white, blue, and red. That's it. That's all you got with colors. So we picked black with a black interior. Yeah. So when you do the permutations of how many different things, you only got 8 different. Because you got 4 paint colors and you got 2 interior colors, so that's 8 different possibilities. And that's how he keeps his production, line. Because you have to have. You got to have all these left and right turns when your car is going through, and all of a sudden, whoops, it's got to turn. I got to turn right into the red paint zone. Now, if you want the red, by the way, it costs you, I think, $2,500 more if you want red. It's $2,000 more if you want blue, and it's $1,000 more if you want black, and it comes white. So we actually paid up $1,000 for black. And we paid up $1,000 for a trailer hitch, which they have that all built into the frame of the car underneath. Actually, I haven't seen that yet. I see the panel, but I haven't pulled it off. So I would imagine that the trailer hitch is there. The trailer package, I haven't actually examined one. I don't know what that package includes. Well, it has the receptacle for and it has the electrical thingy. If you actually had a trailer. I just want to plug in a thing to hold our 2 bikes so we can, take our 2 bikes and go riding somewhere and then offload the bikes and ride around in a different kind of area instead of riding around downtown Boca all the time. And maybe that would get us out on the bikes more often. Okay, so that's it. Why don't we end this little chapter here? We're at 1 hour and 9 minutes and 43 seconds. You probably guys are all tuned out, getting ready to have lunch or something, brother, because it's oh my God, it's 12:51, and I haven't even thought about lunch. I have some of my world famous spaghetti sauce, I think, and soup. Keep it simple. All right, so listen, I'm going to turn the mics down and turn up Epidemic so you can hear about 60 seconds of that. And I hope you have a great Thursday. And I might be talking to you tomorrow. Have a great afternoon.